Welcome to another edition of Ask the AD, along with my twin brother, Gene Taylor. I'm Brian Smoller. Glad you could join us here today on the show. Great minds think alike, right?
For once, I have a little bit more hair than you do.
You do.
Than somebody.
And then most, yeah. Aerodynamic, that's the way it looks. Although this time of year, it gets a little chilly up top. But anyway, we've got lots of questions to get to today. We're not going to mess around. We're getting right into the questions. Good stuff from all you fans. We can't answer them all. We're going to try and answer the best ones we can. We'll start first with one that's about the Big 12, and I guess kind of starting with the idea of being broad and try and narrow it down. But we start first with the idea of Texas and Oklahoma. This question comes from Twitter, from Alan Walter 11. What's happening with the rumors of Texas and OU leaving the conference early? What can you even say? And then the second half of this question, any development in expanding the conference beyond 12?
Yeah, there's a lot going on out there in terms of the rumor world. We meet a lot with Brett Yormark, our new commissioner, and he keeps us updated. And it's just something that's out there that I can't really speak a lot about. He fully anticipates them to still stay. But if there's something that comes up, I can't say that I'm involved with that, but that's something that our commissioner has to deal with the two schools. But we're moving forward as though they're going to be here through the next 2 years, and if something changes, it changes. In regards to expansion, I would say right now that Brett has been so focused, the commissioner has been so focused on the TV deal, working through the Texas and Oklahoma, both from a scheduling perspective and then, their exit, whenever that exit is. He really hasn't really focused a lot on expansion. Will he get back to that at some point? Who knows? There was some stuff out there about Gonzaga, and I don't know that that's real serious at all. But in terms of him being focused on other schools right now, that's not a lot going on right now.
Yeah, he's got a lot of plates that he's keeping up in the air right now, and obviously that's a part of it. But it's interesting times for the Big 12. It's just kind of along for the ride, right? We're just kind of wait and see what happens. Speaking of the Big 12 and new teams, this one from Facebook and from Larry Friedel, I'm going to guess, or Friedley. With new teams coming to the Big 12 next year, what are the chances of moving to different bowl games? He says, I would like the Big 12 to try for the Vegas Bowl.
A lot of interest in Vegas right now with our fan base. Right now, I think what happens with the Big 12 cycle, and again, something I'm not really detailed about, is we have contracts with bowls. And the bowls that we currently go to, I don't know how many years we have with those contracts and those bowls. I think at some point, probably when we expand the college football playoff to 12, there may be some movement, whether it affects the Big 12 or not. But over the course of the years, these bowl agreements last for probably 3, 5, 10 years. I'm not really sure how long they last. But there may be some opportunities to get into some different bowl opportunities. But those conversations, again, happen at the conference level. And I'm sure as ADs we'll get that feedback as to where we want to take our ties to bowls. But I think a lot's going to change generally when we expand the college football playoff. Yeah,
a lot will change here in the next couple of years in that regard, and certainly have some trickle-down effect. All right, from that, let's go into some KState football from Twitter, at Cody Kotke, who asks, during your time as AD, what game was your favorite game to watch? Oh, boy. And where do you see K-State football in the next couple of years? I'm going to take this question to be, which K-State football game was your favorite to watch?
Yeah, I would say football, and obviously been here 6 years now, so I've seen a lot of really fun, exciting games and wins. I would like to say that it was clearly the Big 12 championship, but unfortunately I wasn't there personally, but I was actually watching it on TV. I would say probably one of the bigger ones early on was Chris's first win that he had over Oklahoma. It was one of his first years here, and it was such a monumental win for a new head coach in terms of where they were ranked and the quality of team that they were. That one stands out, but clearly when you win a championship, it's still, whether you're watching on TV or there in person, was a huge game for us.
That first win over Oklahoma, and just thinking back to it too, it was almost in a way an affirmation. This was the right guy. This is the right move. We're moving in the right way as well. Speaking of Coach Kleinman, our next question comes from at Sixpack Tim, which, by the way, congrats, Tim. It's a heck of an accomplishment.
Yeah, I don't have one of those. So
no.
I think I've consumed it.
It's a pack, but it's not a six.
Exactly.
Right. Are you worried that Coach Kleinman may look for greener pastures? This question, by the way, kudos to Tim for asking it, because I think this would be on the mind. It's a natural fan instinct, right? To always be worrying about these things.
Yeah, and I understand that. Obviously, there are schools out there that can pay significant amount of money for their head coach and that do already. And I think really for us and with Chris is our relationship is really strong in terms of our ability to trust one another and understand each other and what's important for the overall program. Certainly we're going to do everything we can to keep Chris Kleinman, and I know that he wants to be here. He's building something very special, and in terms of the culture of the program, the coaching staff, and are we going to have turnover at some point? Probably within coaches as they get opportunities. But in terms of Coach Kleinman, he likes K-State. He loves being here. I think we're going to be able to keep him as long as we possibly can.
Which is great news for everybody. All right, speaking of greener pastures, this is an interesting question from Facebook from Jacob Scales, who asks, thoughts on a natural grass field at Bill Snyder Family Stadium in the future? He goes on to point out K-State's an ag school. If Iowa State can do it, we can do it. There's a turf grass program here. We went through this with baseball for many years. Baseball was a grass field. Had the same thing, turf grass students that took care of the field. It always wasn't successful. What's your thought?
Well, I think, there's so many places that have turf. Obviously, we do play on some grass fields like you mentioned, and then we have a grass field to practice on when we go and play those teams that have grass. I think from an overall maintenance and just general cost and operation, the non-grass is the way to go. Just because of where we live, the weather is an issue, the freeze and the keeping it green, all those things. I've been in areas that have had natural grass and that they're not in the southern part of the country, and it's very difficult to maintain, and the cost of that. I think the more these artificial grass fields become so good at what they do, the synthetic fields, I think it really doesn't matter. There's not a lot of difference. And I think our players are used to playing on it, and they're playing on it in high school. They're playing on it everywhere they go. So I think we'll probably stay with what we have.
And Kansas State, of course, getting the new Shamrock practice facility up and running, and they're in there right now.
Yeah, no, it's phenomenal that we have donors that are that willing to help us build this program, and a facility like the Shamrock Indoor is going to be phenomenal for us.
Yep. Thanks to the donors who helped support the Buildings Champions Campaign Initiative, over $100 million to help build that building, and obviously a record-breaking year for the Ahern Fund as well. Speaking of Ahern, from Twitter, from @PowerCatENG, Mr. Taylor, what's the plan for Ahern Fieldhouse? And also, sub-question, do you have any Dr. Linton stories yet?
Man. Well, I don't have many Dr. Linton stories, although there was a video that I got when we won the championship that was kind of fun to see. His wife sent it to me. Ahern is really not our decision, the university decision. As you know, they are going to be taking down some areas around Ahern in terms of the ability to maintain that. The actual facility itself, the playing center is going to be, the arena portion is going to stay. What's going to happen with that is really nothing that we control. That's a university decision. But the actual playing part of the Ahern is going to stay. Some of the outside of pieces will be torn down here in the next few months.
Yeah, so really this is a question for Dr. Linton.
That's a great question for Dr. Linton.
We're going to pass the buck off a little bit.
Exactly.
As we wrap this up, obviously the holidays are upon us. A question here from Jeremy R. Snap from Facebook, who asked, Brian and Gene, what's your New Year's resolution for 2023?
Mine is to get a six-pack. And you guys can determine what that really means.
Mine is not other than more success for the Wildcats. K-State, by the way, right now, as we get into the holiday break, is the winningest Power 5 school in the country, combined football and men's and women's basketball record. So
it's been a really great fall and early into the winter season. And, I think certainly just wish more success on all of our teams and our programs and, some new coaches. So wish everybody a happy holiday and wonderful new year in 2023, and let's keep it rolling.
Absolutely. Everybody be safe. Get to Brownwich Coliseum and watch these Wildcats, both men and women. They deserve your support, both having great seasons to this point. Gene, appreciate it. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and Happy New Year.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll see everybody next time on Ask the AD.